Marielle Wyatt. I play Amy Guy in the show as well as the news commentator.
I am Aaron Johnson. I played the role of JB.
The experience was wild. This is my second virtual show I've done at TCU now, both in different kind of mediums. So this one we had small little recorders that we put up, and you had to do the whole mic and put it on your lapel. And we had Zoom going, so we had like an AirPod in our ear. We'd hear the cues, but then to our recorder, we would be the only ones speaking into that. And so it was kind of weird because we didn't even have a costume or anything like that. So you had to use your imagination a lot more, as well as like auditory cues from your cast.
It was definitely really interesting to be a part of, because we were supposed to have a live and then transitioning to like fully just being recorded. That was like a whole process. And so I think like personally, I really enjoyed being a part of the process of focusing solely on our voices and like having to embody the character even more so, just because the only thing you'd really hear would be our voices. I think that part was something that took a minute to get used to, just because I've never like done any like real voiceover work before. So having this to be a jettison point for most of us, I think was something that I thought was very cool, and I'm very like excited to see how it turned out.
Well, first, I feel incredibly grateful to be a part of a show like this. So often as actors, we do shows because that is what is available to us. That's the opportunity, or that is what will pay the bills. And so being able to be a part of a show that I truly believe in, and I think is incredibly important to have that story be told, I just feel very grateful. And hopefully this paves the way for more stories like this to be told. Yeah, so it was a great experience.
It was very important to me personally. I think I was really happy to be a part of this because it was definitely a story that I felt like deserved to be told. It was a story that does not deserve to be forgotten. And I feel like all of us really wanted to do justice to the people who are actually involved and actually make sure that the thoughts and feelings and emotions that we portrayed were true to them and as true as we could be to the actual events of both of John's murder. And I think using my voice in today's social climate to tell a story like this is something that is very important. And I think that is something that we all felt.
It was tough. Usually if you're playing a character that existed, you see more like stories of a hero or somebody who did something really wonderful in history. And obviously that was not the character based off of, Amy Guy, based off of Amber Geiger. So it was a little challenging to find the humanity in her, I think, just because obviously this is not a story that portrays her well. But it presented a unique opportunity as an actor, for sure.
It was pretty, I don't want to say harrowing, but it was kind of hard, because like JB, Bo, they're like real people, diving into their past, how they felt, how they were connected to their families, how they were connected to each other was something that was difficult to do and watch the trial over, especially because JB testified. And it was something that was hard to watch, knowing what would eventually be the outcome of his life, and knowing that in some ways I had to step into those shoes and imagine what his final moments would have been like. So that was something that was very hard to do and took some sort of a toll on me and changed how I felt about the situation. It made me feel like I owed it even more so to those characters, and to make sure that they get it right.
Forbo's taught me that, theater is in so many different mediums, like this traditional proscenium theater kind of thing is not the only way to get voices heard. And obviously it wasn't the perfect circumstances or ideal, but it allowed us to think outside of the box, which then allows future projects to happen when there are barriers such as a global pandemic. So yeah, I think it definitely taught me malleability, adaptability as an actor, but also that just because we've done things a certain way in the past doesn't mean we have to do them the same way in the future to be just as successful.
Something that being a part of the show has taught me really has been, the reality is we don't know how much time we have and what could happen. And it's important to lead a life in which, you're happy with. Botham John died way before his time should have been. And even in the wake of his death, his family members, his little brother, B, he found a way to embody what it was Bo was living for, and found a way to forgive Amy for murdering his brother. And I think there's something like within that resonated inside of me in terms of, who it is I'm living for and what sort of mentality I leave behind and how it will affect those around me.
I hope the audience takes away a story of hope in a way. Obviously, it was a tragic event, but our show really hones in on the family aspect. And yes, this happens, but what can we do better in the future? So I hope that it's a call to action in a way, and that this momentum that we've felt kind of as a generation doesn't stop, that this kind of reignites a spark in each viewer.
I think one of the biggest takeaways I really want the audience to come away with is that this was a gross injustice. This is a problem that is persistent. This is something that needs to stop and needs to be addressed. And only through using our voices and telling stories that deserve to be told and making everyone aware of the true light that the situations deserve to be shined upon are we ever going to get like any real meaningful change. It was really intriguing. It was really different. Yvonne had a lot of ideas for how she wanted things to go, and she also gave us a lot of room to play and how we thought, how we interpreted her text and how we thought the characters should develop and how we should say our lines and whatnot. And she was there every step of the way, encouraging us to not only like be truthful to the story the way it should be, but also to be actors and, actually bring something of ourselves to the table to help work with it. So I think overall, working with Yvonne, being the playwright was a good experience.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen the photos. We've seen a couple here and there, but as far as like what our voices will be put towards, we have no idea. So it's kind of a surprise for the cast as well, which is what I'm most excited about, because there's just hundreds of beautiful photos that so many people have submitted. So it'll be a surprise for all of us, and I can't wait to see what it turns out to be.
That is like this whole way that we were putting up the show is different than something I've ever been able to be a part of. I'm very intrigued to see how it turns out. I think it's going to turn out great. I think in a lot of ways, the storybook aspect of the images coming to life in a sense is going to have a deeper resonation amongst people who see it. I think in a lot of ways, the way they went about doing this will do it a lot more justice than what we could have done in a COVID setting.
the cast of For Bo and the crew associated with it was phenomenal to work with. Each person showed up to less than ideal circumstances and knocked it out of the park with a super positive attitude. And I don't think that could have been done without the direction of Yvonne and Ashley Parks. And I just think the world of all of them. And I was so glad to be able to do this, even in these weird circumstances.
Love to hear it. Alrighty, well, I think that's, we've got a lot of good stuff that we can use. So thank you for your time. Your candor as well. We know if anyone else.
That went really well.
Yes.